Welcome Libra to your in-depth monthly horoscope for December 2024 for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. If you order your year 2025 personal horoscope forecast, you also get your life roadmap report 30% off, but also my free gift of your zodiac general, love, Chinese and Indian forecast for the coming year. Please see the link below for more. The personal forecast is totally unique to each person it's produced for and will give you searing insights for the next year. You'll get the rest of 24 free. On the screen now, I'm showing the event chart right at the start of the month. First of all, we need to look at the role of your ruler Venus. Venus is in the sign of Capricorn, which for you is house 4, which could give you a desire to make sure that your home, particularly if you're going to be welcoming guests, is as refined and stylized as possible. So you could, even at this late stage of the year, find yourself at least moving some furniture around, clearing some space, or perhaps doing some late redecoration. But Venus is forging a link to Uranus at the start of this month. And Uranus, of course, is the planet of change, but also of surprises. And because it's in your 8th house, I think it's possible that some kind of good news linked to a property matter, or perhaps someone could be very generous to you within your family or extended family, which really will provide some uplift. But of course, the role of the luminaries is also key. And you can see that the moon is about to apply exactly to the role of the sun. So that happens later on the 1st with the Sagittarius new moon. For you, house 3, very much about quick communications, connections to siblings, neighbours, people in your local community. If you are involved in the world of technology or social media, this gives you an extra glow up. What's not to like? Particularly as the moon links back to Mars in your sector of friendship and sociability, but also they both link back in a grand trine to the position of the North Node in your sector of relating. So a conversation you have in December, particularly if you're single, could have quite a flirty dimension to it, but at the very least be very sociable. But because Venus starts this month in a part of your chart which is about how you feel, that's going to be a guiding principle still. And also Mercury, the planet of communication, does start this month in retrograde. That's going to go on through to the 15th. But Mercury actually starts the month in an opposition to Jupiter. Now, if ever there was a bubbly combination, it's those two facing each other up. We just need to be mindful. Mercury's detrimented, Jupiter's detrimented too. Is there some mutual receptivity because they're both in the signs each rules? Possibly. But because of the retrograde, I think it is important that if you're discussing anything, particularly of a contractual nature, that you really don't rush your decision making. Just give yourself the emotional space to really be exacting in looking at the information. And that's where Saturn can really help you. There's Saturn for you in house 6. Since March 2023, your physical vitality may not have been the greatest. You may have also at times felt overburdened with the amount of responsibilities and obligations you've had. Saturn, of course, went through a big retrograde, which unwound last month, but the link here, the T-square that's broadly between Saturn and Jupiter and Mercury, but also the new moon at the start of the month, just conditions you around that fact-checking, taking the time to look at the detail of things. Because you love equilibrium, if you're linking with people where the vibe feels right, that can be something that gives you a sense of optimism. And that's good, but at the same time, just be conscious of those details. I think that's really important. Now, on the 6th, you've got a great opportunity to think about an important detail, but also express yourself with passion, verve, and enthusiasm, as we have a Mercury cazimi. That's when Mercury sits in between the Sun and Earth. It's an inferior conjunction because Mercury's in the retrograde. So you could find yourself discussing something that had been looked at before but didn't come to a firm outcome, and it actually could delight you. Because a cazimi sees the Sun really pour its warming energy into the heart of Mercury, so it magnifies Mercury's qualities. So you're a natural communicator. You can be diplomatic, but you are a cardinal sign, and when you need to, you can stand in your power. And one of the things that Pluto has been teaching you in recent years is to set your boundaries. Now, of course, last month, Pluto moved for the long term into your sister air sign of Aquarius. And as this month goes on, Mars on the other side of the heavens is going to come into a direct opposition with Pluto in the last few days. But what we're going to see is that Mars slows down from the 6th. So the same day as the cazimi, Mars goes retrograde. Mars is going to go retrograde through to the 23rd of February, but it's actually going to step back into the sign of Cancer on the 6th of January. Now, for you, having Mars in the sign of Leo is terrific for your connections to others socially, or perhaps around situations where you're wanting to be more collegiate, a collective effort, whilst at the same time retaining your sense of individuality. So Mars slowing down there is not going to see your social life suddenly peel away, but it could make you a little bit more thoughtful about who you do want to connect with. The 7th sees Neptune, which has been in retrograde since the start of July, end its long backward grind. And if that has also been applying to certain points in your natal chart, that energy issue that I've been referring to with Saturn could have been magnified by that. So great news that Neptune's direct. Neptune's still influential, however, but your ruler Venus moves also on the 7th into a fantastic location. This is something to truly celebrate, Libra, because Venus moves into your sister air sign of Aquarius, but applies to Pluto. If you have been yearning for a really significant romantic or social situation in your life for some time, this really gives you a lot of propulsion. Also, from the 10th through to the 15th, Venus and Mars are in an opposition. Despite Mars's retrograde, is there one person in your circle who's capturing your imagination a lot more? Whether you're in a relationship and therefore you're connecting to this person as a couple, or it is more of a one-to-one thing, there could be a lot of chemistry which can make your pulse race. What's not to like about that? That's absolutely lovely. However, the full moon of the 15th does occur in your sister air sign of Gemini, but it is going to be squaring up with Neptune. So what we've got is that 3rd house energy that you start this month with the new moon, very much about those quick, sharp communications, but with Mercury retrograde. On the 15th, Mercury goes direct. We'll take that, but we have the full moon with Neptune creating the potential for distortion around communications. So as much as you will get some people saying, well, all your problems are over, Mercury's going direct, you need to be, again, cutting through the mist, which is Neptune, using the energy of Saturn, which is more exacting, to get to what's really important to you. But on the 21st, the winter solstice sees the Sun move into its annual transition into Capricorn, which for you is very much about home, family, emotion. If you are craving after quite a bright and playful and sociable December to get nearer to home and hearth and spend time with the people who really mean a lot to you, then this winter solstice will help you to get in touch with it. But it is in a T-square with the nodal axis. balancing some of your personal desires around relationships with what some family commitments, needs or expectations could be part of the complex picture. We also have on the 24th, Christmas Eve, a peaking again of a long-standing square between Jupiter and Saturn. If you recall, on the 19th of August this occurred. Because the alliance between these two, or the connections between these two, are relatively rare because they have such different ways of circulating around our solar system, they last came together in a conjunction in 2020. So this square that occurred on the 19th of August, being repeated on Christmas Eve, sees Jupiter retrograde in the part of your situation that's to do with breaking out, thinking of travel, for example. If you want to get away over the festivities for some sun or snow, wouldn't be a surprise. But again, the details will be important because Saturn's a more restraining and containing influence. But what Jupiter may also be making you aware of is any resentments that you've been feeling that have been long rooted. Let's go back in the story to 212 when Neptune moved into 6. Since then, you've probably given so much in some way to others. It could be through your work. And then when Saturn arrived in March 23, that just amped up that demand, that low energy, and at times a feeling of overwhelm. So I feel that it's very, very important with that particular square on Christmas Eve that you're really in touch with what you will or won't do for others. And the playful, charismatic energies at the heart of this month are just reminding you that as much as you've been very dedicated and conscientious, it is really important to enjoy life. And that's going to be a big part of Venus's transit through your sister air sign of Aquarius. But then, as the month draws to a close, your relationship sector is lit up with Chiron going direct. If you have got some hurts and healing to be had there, that will help. But also, Mars and Pluto come into a direct confrontation within 3 degrees. It's actually going to become exact on the 3rd of January, and it is mighty because that aspect is an aspect that needs to be used wisely. It's about power. It is about potentially using thrust, authority and force we're going to see in the wider world. In your particular situation, I think what Pluto's taught you since 2008 is that at times you have to say no. You are the ultimate person that likes to keep the peace and you love fairness. But if things have become intolerably unfair, particularly around the family dynamic, you might find yourself, even with all this good stuff feeding in this month, much more assertive and much more outspoken, and if so, good for you. And if you want to discover what year 2025 will hold for you in terms of your sun, ascendant or moon, please do click on the link within this video where you can watch my deep dive video for you. But as this year comes to an end, we can celebrate with another new moon. So it's a black moon, 2 new moons in the same month, but the last one's in that sector of emotion. So all the lessons that you've learned with Pluto, with Saturn and Neptune, with Uranus as well in your 8th house, the things you need to really break free from that perhaps have been addictive but not very good for you. As you come to the end of this year and see in the new year, I really wish you a happy Christmas and a peaceful New Year celebration. But as you go into this new year, I think it's going to be with a lot of life experience and determination from all the planetary influences that you've gained so much from, at times in quite a painstaking and painful way over the last few years, but you're really set fair to explode into the new year. Take care, Libra, all the best and goodbye.